Thank you all for joining our today's session, and congratulations to all that follow along the last session for the book Python Crash Course book. We cover from chapter 1 to 11, which give us the basics that we can do machine learning and data science with it. Nevertheless, there is a particular chapter for project, chapter for visualization. We'll go back and complete the project. Now, our plan now is to having the basic of Python, like dictionary, list, class, functions, how we can deal with different data structure. The next thing is for us to understand some of the common Python packages that are used in data science community. When we understand this package, we learn how to use them, then we can move ahead to start doing machine learning. So I always have an idea that when somebody just jump into machine learning without having the basics of Python, the basics of the package, he will suffer a lot. I mean, he will come back, he will go and come back. But when you have the required background, the required Python background, you will just be moving at the speed of light. So I encourage all of us to keep learning the Python. That is why I said now, from tomorrow, I think I will start doing daily Python practice, where we'll practice what we have already learned. For example, we learned dictionary, list, function, classes in the previous book. Will be having daily practice. So anybody that is interested can participate. So we will just what we will do is I will release a question every day. So if you are interested, you just try to solve the question and share in the group. The main aim of this is for you to build the memory muscle of Python. Believe me, when you keep doing this practice, in no time you will see that you become an expert or you become acquainted with anything that you can do with Python. That is how we learn. We learn by practice. We learn by doing. So this is the idea. So today, having understood the basics of Python, we will jump into this book, Python Data Science Handbook. This is one of the most common book recommended for one that is having basic of Python to jump into Python. The second book is Python Data Analysis. So this is the second book that is most recommended, Python for Data Analysis. So these two books, some of the good books recommended, but we will choose this one because the reason being is that this one has a few chapters that are enough for us to get started. So we'll do NumPy, we'll do pandas, we'll do matplotlib, and the first chapter is Ipython, how you can work with Ipython and Jupyter. So today we'll discuss this Ipython and Jupyter. Today is not basically about using Python or some packages, but using understanding of the environment that we will be using Python, which is Jupyter and Ipython. I already shared this book with everyone, so I believe you can get it. And after we finish, along the way, we will also, when we do like NumPy or pandas, I will be throwing questions that relate to NumPy and pandas. After we finish matplotlib, I will throw some questions that relate to matplotlib, and so every day we'll have practice exercises. The moment we finish this one, we'll have a solid background, then we will jump into machine learning. So I have a plan, like some people already, we have some PhD students, they are interested maybe in deep learning, some are machine learning. So we may consider doing two different sessions. After having this background, we'll do machine learning separate and we'll do deep learning. So for people who are already familiar with machine learning, we can do deep learning. Right, so that is that about that. Let me share my screen and so that we can get started. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
What is it now? VS Code, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So for you to get started, many people choose many different environments. So I share this one. Some people, because they use Jupyter. Now there is a Jupyter Lab app that you can use to do machine learning. You can do your data analysis. Can you see Jupyter Lab? I open now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I believe you already know Jupyter, but now Jupyter Lab is somehow enhanced version of Jupyter. You can download this one because for me, I hate working with Jupyter in a browser. because when I open browser, sometimes I just go into browsing. I just open page, I open Google. So I don't really, yeah, you know what I mean? I don't really sometimes concentrate on working with on browser Jupyter. So from early days, I really hate Jupyter. I don't work with Jupyter because it's browser, so it really took away my time and maybe. So when I saw this Jupyter Lab, this is a fine app that you can use to actually run. You can install the app. I've already shared it, I think, in the Slack. You can download this. You just go Jupyter Lab app. You can download it. Else, if you don't want to use, for example, here you can see you do your analysis here, just like the way you do your Jupyter, you can do it here. So this is Jupyter Lab. But so that's why previously I was using this one. I was using this one. Let me share with you. So because previously the Jupyter is not available on VS Code, so I was using PyCharm to use Jupyter. So PyCharm also has a Jupyter, but now the VS Code comes to Jupyter. Now I prefer VS Code. So let's get started now. Today we have a little bit of theory combined with the practice, but believe me, it is very good. We can get the idea what it is. So the chapter 1 of the book actually talk about Ipython and Jupyter. What is Ipython? So today we'll learn Ipython, what it is all about. Now, the title of data is Ipython beyond normal Python. Now, what does that mean? So it means Ipython beyond normal Python. It means there is something new called Ipython that is better than Python. So what this is telling us is something, an interpreter that is beyond the normal Python. So as you already know, all of you, now if you want to start doing Python, so can you see my terminal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes.
if you can see my terminal, for one to start doing Python, previously, if you want to do in Python, what we can do is we come to the terminal, we just type Python. When you type Python, okay, let me increase my screen. No. No. Okay. Oh, okay. So, right. So for one to start doing Python, what we normally do is when we come to here, we can say Python. This will give us an avenue to do Python. So what we can do here in Python, you can say 2 + 2, this is 4, right? You can say import numpy as np. Can you see that? Then we can say np dot, we can call anything. But this is Python interpreter. This is Python interpreter. It allows you to do many things like 3 + 1. It can allow you, for example, for now, we said import numpy np, we said np.math, the square root. Can you see when I put the square root of 9? I can say, okay, can you see this is square root of 9 is 3, right? This is standard Python interpreter. This is standard Python interpreter. It allows you to do many things with Python. So why the creation of another thing called Ipython? That is the main idea. So that is the title of the chapter, Ipython beyond normal Python. Now, the Python interpreter, as we know, Python is an interpreted language. What does that mean when we say Python is an interpreted language? It means we run and execute through interpreter. So here, okay, here we have some noise. Right. So here you can see Python is an interpreted language. So here we are running everything we are executing. When I say 3 + 1, it is Python interpreter behind the scene that is doing this summation. So Python is interpreted language, and what does that mean is that the Python interpreter runs a program by executing one statement at a time. Can you see one statement at a time? So here we mean that, let me see what is happening here. Right, okay. So here we can see that we are summing up one step at a time. So 1 + 1, we give out this. but there is some kind of beta thing which is called Ipython. So Ipython is enhanced Python interpreter. It is enhanced Python. So when we say something is enhanced, it means it has some added functionality that you can do. And it was actually developed purposely to do interactive scientific computing. Now let's look at how we can do Ipython. So for you to do Ipython, what can we run? For us now, for us to do to instantiate Python interpreter, we just type Python, right? But when you want to insert Python interpreter, you say Ipython. Okay, let's see what will happen. So when you tap Ipython, now here I can see 1 + 1. Can you see? Is this the something with this? Is this what you are seeing here? Is it the something with 1 here? It's not the same, right? So you can see here. Oh, can you see my screen? I think it's small, right? But can you see?
Yes, sir, we can see the screen.
Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Can you see now? I'm using 4 + 1, give me 5. Here, I'm using what is called Ipython. Here, I'm using Python interpreter. So you can see there is some kind of difference. The difference you can see here in Ipython, I have in and I have out. In is where you type, out is where your result comes. Can you see that? So this is Ipython, which is enhanced Python interpreter. So people, we don't normally in data science, we don't normally work with Python interpreter. So here, your Python interpreter, we don't work with it. What we normally work in data science or machine learning, we work in Ipython, which is enhanced Python interpreter. So here, that's why we say Ipython and enhanced Python interpreter, which is used for data analysis. So now we have seen Python interpreter, we have seen Ipython. The next thing is Jupyter. Now, what is the difference now? Now we understand Python interpreter, we understand Ipython. Ipython is just something like this. This is what we have here, just this one. We start Ipython just by typing Ipython. We start Python interpreter by typing Python. But now there is enhanced Ipython. Enhanced Ipython is Jupyter. So from Ipython 4.0, the project now moved from working on Ipython to Jupyter. So Jupyter, you can see it allows you to, because it looks somehow intimidating for someone here. You may look at, for someone here, you may see like this Ipython is not, actually some good for me to use, because it's some in black screen and you cannot, write English, you cannot write comment, you cannot, a lot of stuff, So it's like something for, not for beginners, something that we cannot actually iterate. So, but the Jupyter project comes and the Jupyter, at the background of Jupyter is Ipython, but Jupyter is giving you just like graphical user interface so that you can work. But at the background, you are instantiating Ipython. So that is why you can see here, the Jupyter notebook is a browser-based graphical interface to the Ipython shell. So the Ipython and Jupyter, they are the same, but Jupyter is just giving you graphical interface that you can, but you are directly working under the hood, you are working with Ipython. So here you can see nowadays, Jupyter is the default standard for using what? All our data science. You can do everything. So you can see with Jupyter, we can do visualization, we can write mathematical equation. Here, we can do everything here. We also have what is called magic commands. So we have some commands that are not available in Ipython, but available only in Jupyter. They are not available in Python interpreter, but they are available only on Ipython. Those commands, they are called magic commands, and we will see what magic commands are and how we can deal with them. We'll see what they mean. So let's quickly go on. So now, what can you use? Are you going to use Ipython or Jupyter? So some Python programmers execute all their Python code in interpreter, but for us in data science, we prefer to use Jupyter Notebook. So if we are using web-based web programming, if you are using game development, you can go and use your Python interpreter, the black screen. But for us as data scientists, what we prefer is to use Jupyter, because we can float, we can do many things. That is how we can iterate. Now, how can you get this Jupyter? There are many Jupyter. So here is VS Code, and this VS Code, it does have Jupyter. You can use Jupyter. One way is, as I showed you, is to download Jupyter Lab. Another way is to use browser-based. Yeah. Any question before we continue? Anyone with question before we continue? Anyone with question before? Okay, no question. Right. So now we understand what is Ipython interpreter, what is Python interpreter, Ipython, and Jupyter. So to recap, this is the speed. To recap, for you to instantiate Python interpreter, what we can do is just write Python. Then you are now using Python interpreter. Then you can start using Python. For you to start is 1 + 1. I'm using Python. You can do everything. But if you don't want to use Python, you want to use if you don't want to use Python interpreter, you want to use enhanced Python, which is Ipython. Then you write Ipython. So when we write Ipython, we have something like this. Ipython. It will take us to something new that we will actually. So this is Ipython. 1 + 1. You can do. So Ipython is enhanced. But the latest one is Jupyter. This environment I'm talking to you is Jupyter, and this is where we'll be using our stuff. Now let's get going. So let's look at what we can do with Ipython, some of the commands that are available in Ipython. Now, the first thing we will see is comma here. So in Jupyter or Ipython, what you can do, we have many functions in Python, but if you want to find what the function does, we can use help. So here, this is help. So when you have, this is length. So what this function it does, length help on function length module, it returns the number of items in container. So for example, when I have, we already know, let me use this, okay. Here, let me open my interactive. Okay, let me open my interactive here. So we can see here. So one good thing with yeah, right, I will explain it. So here you can see when I have, for example, I equals to 1, 2. So here I have a list. So here I can see, okay, you can call help to see what is inside, what is your list. Example here. So here it's telling you this is help on list. This is a list. It tells you many things about the list. This is a help. But as a shortcut, we may not necessarily use help. We can use what is called question mark like this. So here we can just put this in Ipython. Length. What this is telling us by the syntax. You know what we do here. Okay, let me restart my. All right, so let's see. I'm not sure why this doesn't work.
Yes, you need to remove the space.
We remove the space here. Is it not a question mark I'm typing or what? Okay, let's move on and see what will happen. Let's move on. Okay. This is a function. Right. Okay. Okay, let's see something like this. So this is another object. We create a list, right? And let's see whether it works here. So this is an this function wouldn't work here. So using question mark before or after a variable will display some general information about the object. So here we can see in Python, everything is object. We know this, right? Everything in Python is object. Even the function method, everything is object. So here, I don't know why this is not working, but
maybe you need to put opening and closing brackets because it is a function. I don't know. No, after.
Okay. Oh, oh yeah, I think maybe that's no, that's, I don't know. Let's go on. Maybe we can come back. We can find out later why. So you can see here we create L, which is an object. I don't know about it works before, like with the length there. That's why I think I don't know it works. So here we have an object L, and we can see when we this, it can tell us the list, everything. What is the length of the object is 3, and this is immutable. So this is basically a question mark is telling you the information about the object. And we already said that everything in Python is object. L here is list, which is an object. But mark you, this question mark will only work in Ipython or in Jupyter, right? So it may not necessarily work with your Python interpreter. So this is some of the enhancement. So you can see here we have this also. We know here we have object L and we have insert. So insert is a function, right? Because L is a list, and when we have this, you can see many methods, right? So for example, insert, you can do this and you can see what insert method does. So you can look at, okay, insert method, this, it can tell you a lot of things. It also works on method. So we already know how to define a method, right? So we use def, we use add number, the name of the method, and these are argument, and this function returns A and B, right? And now when we call a method here, we can have something like this. So when we call the method add numbers, 1 and 2, it will return some of them, which is 3. Now you can see we have, what is the name of this? Who can tell us the name of this line? What is the name of this line?
Doc string.
Okay, doc string. So you can see when we create, so here we create when we create this, you can see here, this question mark tell us what is the function and what the function does. So you can see the doc string is included here. So wherever you see question mark, what is telling you in Ipython is just telling you, it's trying to get more information about your object. So here, when you open this, when you have any problem, when you do that, you can see, okay, this is the function. It takes 2 numbers, A and B, and what this function that add numbers. Oh, okay. So you just know what it does, and the type is a function. If it is a class, it all is a class. Now there is another one which is double question mark. So the double question mark, it does not just give you information about the object, it gives you the source code. So for example, here we have add numbers. You remember how here we are create our function. This is our function, add numbers to return this. So the question mark, double question mark, it returns the object. So here you can see here, can you see it returns the source code of the function? So wherever we are using Ipython or Jupyter, when you see I use double question mark, it is for me to see the object, the code about the object. So this add number is basically a function, and I want to see the function inside it. So, but sometimes some function or object don't actually display the source code, even if you use double code. This is because many Python built-in object and type of example below. This is because many of them, they are actually built in C. Okay, let me unmute someone. Okay. Right. Okay. So as I said, some Python object does not actually shows the code here. So you can see here I use length, I use double, and oh, can you see it works here? Can you see it works here, the length we are using before?
Oh, wonderful. It works.
But what happened? Yeah. Can somebody help us? What happened? I don't know. So yeah, you can see here we use double question mark. Here we use 1 question mark, but it's still the same thing. But why? So here they tell us why the double question does not display any source code. This is generally because the object in question is not implemented in Python. So the object is implemented in C. For example, all NumPy, you know NumPy if you are using this, all code for NumPy is implemented in C. Why? Because C is faster, Python is so slow. So all those functions in NumPy, they are implemented in C. They are not implemented in Python. But when you call them, they will now be like as if they are you are running some kind of Python code. So any function that is implemented in C, not Python, it will not return the source code, because if it returns the source code, it will return the C source code, not Python source code, which you will not be able to. Maybe if you are not good in C, you will not be able to do that. That's good for that. So we now understand the first thing in our IPython or Jupyter, which is question mark and double question mark. Any question before we move on? No question. So the next one is using tab completion. So what basically that is that if you are using Jupyter or IPython, that is what is called tab completion. So now where I type L is an object we created. If we remember, let's go back. What is L? Oh, yeah, L is basically a list, right? This is a list, right? And L is a list, and anything in Python is object. So L is an object. So let's look at what they are talking about. So when you are using IPython, try to simplify stuff for us. For example, now when I type L, this object, what kind of method can they apply on this? When you type this, then many objects can come here. You can append. You can append means you can add another object. So here I can say append 6, 5, right? So if I append 5, so let's look at what is our L now. My L. You can see I add 5, right? You can see I add 5. So what this is telling you is that IPython provide you with this tab, what we call tab completion. So the moment you have this, you can see this. But this you should be reminded as well. Some of the features you can see here, they are special, I think, to enhance VS Code. So in VS Code, we have what we call what do they call it? Is it Python, some kind of linters that they do this? So I believe even in your Jupyter, you may see this one. So that's why I like Jupyter Notebook here in VS Code. A lot of stuff, you can see them. So this is how this is done. So if you forget what you can do with anything, the moment you type dot, you will see that here. Another way for you to see all those functions, when you use dir, and I put the object L, so it will list all those ones. Can you see? Add, dot, get all these methods, and sort, robust, index. Can you see them? So for you to use this dir to show them, I think that an efficient way now is to do this, just to do this. Can you see it? When you do, you can see the method. Can you see appear? But those one with dunder, with underscore, they are down here. When we go down, can you see those one with double underscore? This is called dunder method. We will see them. I think in this chapter or next chapter, dunder method. So you can see that. So this is one way for you to actually have. So that's about tab completion. So also, yeah, the dunder method are gone. All right. So we can also use this one for plotting. So who can tell us, this is a class, who can tell us anything about this class? Who can help us with this? So this is a class. How do you remember in the last sessions we defined with class, how to create a class, right? Can somebody remember how this class is implemented and what this class does?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
So what this
Yes.
class is, what this is doing?
The class helps us multiply 2 digits.
Right, exactly. But if what you remember is that this is a new way that I mentioned that we put creating class, right? Remember the default one in the previous Python, I think 3.7 or 8, 3.7. What you need to do is you need to instantiate any class with init method, right? But the new way to define class, as I already said, is using data class, and you supply this. If you are not sure how to create a class, if you are not, you don't know how to create class, I will refer to you to the previous book we finished, Python Crash Course. I think chapter 1009, which discuss about creating class, is a good chapter. If you do not actually understand class, I will urge you to read chapter 10 and 9, how to define class, how to define functions. These two chapters in the previous book, class and functions, when you understand them, even if you don't read, even if you did read the previous chapters, that is dictionary list, make sure you understand this class and functions, because they will help you understand to everything. So here you can see, this is a class. We define the class is called mathematics, and it does have like flow A, B, C. And what we did is basically we multiply two numbers. Now, what we can see here, I want to show us the auto completion feature. Now, when I run this, so here, for you to use this format, you need to import from data class, import data class, and you need to put this method data class, and the name of class, the name of the class is mathematics, and do this. So here you can see this is my class. When the moment I put dot, can you see it? I put dot. Now all the objects inside that class, which is A, B, C, and the method add, can you see them automatically comes here? So this is just a way in which you should know how to move around the working with the Jupyter. So you can see them here. So automatically now when I say A, okay, I call A. Can you see the value of A is 9? Can you see the value of A is 9? For someone, this may be confusing if you do not actually attend our class previous session where we define class. So A here is an object, right? It's an attribute, I mean, because yeah, it just, but we have another attribute called add. What is add here? Who can tell us? What is add from this
It's
class?
a method.
It's a method.
Function.
Exactly. Add is a method. What it does, it just multiply A and B, right? So we can say, okay. So it shows us an error. What is the error?
The error is self.
Is what?
You miss self.
So here, look at this.
It's spelled.
It's not self.
No, in the code. When in the method definition.
Okay. So this is the good thing. Whenever you have an error, you will have what is called traceback. So in Python, this is called traceback. A traceback shows you what is happening. So if you look at this one here, when we run this one, let me show you. When you run this one, it tells you the error. Can you see this? A type error, missing one requirement. Can you see sub? So you will know this is what is happening. So when you go back to your code, can you see this is cell? But you remember in our code we said we must have in every method must have a self method. So here you can see here we have this. We still have an error. We still have an error. What is error is all about? Float, int. We have a function add, right? So we already have A and B defined. A is 9, B is 3. We call our function, which is mathematics, dot add. I think we are good. Let me run again, right? So we have this. So let's look at what it says. Add missing word require potential argument self. Oh, we have a self. We have self. I don't know what the problem is. It's quoting an error. Okay, without wasting much time, the point I want to show here is how to actually basically use the tab completion. So we can use the tab completion anywhere. Again, the same thing, you can use dir to show the stuff. So here, when we use this dir, it will show us when we use dir, it should show us everything that is inside the function. Okay. So can you see all this method, done method and everything here? So these are some of the methods. So the best way is just use dot and to see, because you cannot use this one to see, okay, I need to use it. The efficient way is just call your object. So anything that you call can be a class, anything object. So you can use, this is just the efficient way. So let's move on. Then we have what is called dunder or magic method. So magic method in Python are special methods that start and end with double underscore. Can you see something like this, dunder? This is double underscore, but it looks like one score. When you have double underscore, it merges to become like one. So here is 2 underscore, here is 2. So magic method in Python are special methods that start and end with double underscore. They are not meant to be invoked by you, but the invocation happens internally from the class creation. So for example, init and str are magic or dunder method. As it quickly becomes tiresome to say under method, because we have double under, then so under method, under. So Python community call it dunder method, short for double under. So built-in Python define many magic methods. For example, the following. So here, for example, let's look at this one. Integer, right? So integer is an object in Python. Everything, remember, we say in Python is object. So integer, it does have many dunder methods. String has many dunder methods. List has many dunder methods. Boolean has many dunder methods. So in a nutshell, dunder methods are built in special methods in Python that you as a user, you are not the one that created, but they are there to help that object. So we have many dunder methods that help integer object. That is what we mean. So here you can see the integer method, we have add. Remember, for you to add 2 numbers, you call addition, right? I will show you an example. We have and, we have bool, we have many dunder methods, you can see them. So let me give you an example. So, right. So here, what will happen here? What will be the answer here? What will be the answer here, the output, when we sum this one? So let me example, let me say this is X, right? So I print X here. So what will be the answer here?
The answer should be 15.
So the answer should be 15. All right. So here we have X. Remember, whenever Python, can you see this is just a simple software indentation, but Python is telling us, so always remember you indent your code. So the answer is 15, right? Now, what is happening when you say plus? Then there is dunder method that help this to invoke the addition. Behind the scene, this plus is nothing but invoking addition something. So here you can see when I say, because this is addition of 2 integers, integer, right? Plus, so you can see integer, when I call for integer, I print the dunder method for integer. It has many methods, which is one is addition. So look at them here. Now, when I call this one, not this format, when I use this, so when I use this, example, okay, not this. So for example, right. So you can see here, my num is already what, 10, right? My num is 10. But when I call this dunder method and I impute 5 here, when I run this, what will happen? Can you see it gives me 15? Well, this one is already the previous 15. So when I run this, can you see it give me 15? Then this dunder method is the one that is actually working behind the scene to do the addition. Because you see, in Python, everything is being done by method, right? So this is the method that does this addition. It is not this plus. So this is somehow kind of encapsulation. This is OOP notion. It actually, this plus, it overrides this method. So this, in many ways, you can see this dunder method. So that's why here I say you are not the one to create this dunder method, but normally what you do is to override them. So to override them with something to do the action. So here plus override dunder here to do this. So yeah, so that is dunder method for you. Sometimes in Python you will see them. Beyond type completion, sometimes you can use question mark to find something. So you can see here, we can say, okay, tar warning. find anything that starts with star, anything. So star means anything. So you can see we have bytes warning, duplication warning. So start it here, it represents anything, but it ends with what? Warning. But when I put, for example, warning, for example, I say star. So it means if you give me, so I have only warning, there is something warning, and nothing behind that. So there is no function. So this is something that you actually see as sometimes. This also, the book also discussed many shortcuts that can be used to actually work with Jupyter or Ipython. For example, Ctrl-D or Ctrl-C, many things you can go through them and see. Now let's move on to the good section of the Ipython magic commands. We said, so we already said Ipython magic commands are commands that are actually add enhancement on top of Python syntax. So these magic commands are not available in Python Python interpreter. Yeah, they are not available. There are two kinds. We have one that starts with this one and the other one that starts with this. So the one with single this, what do you call this sign? Who can help me? I don't know the name of this sign. What is the name of this sign?
Modulo sign.
Oh yeah, yeah. After modulo, is it modulo here? Is it modulo?
Yes, it's modulo and it's also percentage.
Okay, it's modulo and also percentage. Okay, so you can see we have one modulo, we have two modulo. So the one modulo is used to run a single command and the single line, but the double modulo is used if we want to run magic command, something with many lines. So this is single line, this is double line. So let's look at what will happen. Now, if you want to see the list of magic command available in Python, in Ipython, you can run this. You can see this ls magic, list magic command. So when we run this, we will see them. Can you see them? Magic command, automagic, alias magic, basic magic, ls magic, many things. So this, you can see a lot of them. Now let's look at what will happen. One of them here we see is time it. This is magic command. Time it. Sometimes you write code and you want to see how long it takes. You can use this time it. So you can see here we have list comprehension. We already discussed list comprehension in our previous session. So what this list comprehension does, who can tell us? What this list comprehension does, who can help us?
It
list.
Okay, someone can.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay, what it does, it returns the list of sequence of numbers from 0 to 999.
Okay, so this is, yeah, so this is just list of number from within the, but this is timing. It will tell us how long it takes. So when using this, we time this line. So I tell you, using only one what is it called, modulo operator, it tells. So you can see how long it takes, how many per loops, 1.20 millisecond per loop, and how many loops it does, 100 loops each. The standard, can you see it tells us? So you want to maybe sometimes look at what is actually taking much more time in your code, you can use it. But you can use this time it. You can see this with double what do you call double this stuff. So here we have how many line of code? We have 3. It's not a single. Then we can use this one. So this is actually you can see this one. So this is for single line of code. This is so this magic command, they are not available in Python interpreter. Do you understand? They are not available in Python, built-in Python interpreter. So here you can see here, I have magic command here. I can say time it, something like this. So I can say 3 plus 1. Can you see? It will tell me how long it takes to do the addition. But if I have this, for example, let me see this. If I have this in my Python interpreter, so you can see here is Python, right? So in Python, there is no way I cannot use this magic command in Python interpreter. Time it 1 plus 2. Can you see it tells me wrong? This is not correct sentence. Why? Because there is no this command in Python interpreter. It is only available in what? Ipython. So that's why it's also available in what? Jupyter, because Jupyter is built on top of Ipython. At the backbone, the background is Ipython. Yeah. Right. Okay. We can also use magic command run and load. So what is this? Now, this run command, what will it will basically do is it will allow you to run Python file in Ipython. So for example, here now, we know in in Python what we do. So what is the meaning of CD? Who can tell me CD?
It means change directory.
What is the meaning of PWD?
Present working directory.
So can you see present working directory, right? It's present working directory. So if we want to execute one program maybe in another directory, so for example, let me see so here you can see, for example, I have my let me say CD document. Inside my document, and I have maybe, for example, folder B code, and inside this folder I have another maybe code snippet. Inside this one maybe, okay, let me see. I'm inside another folder. Let me see what is inside. Can you see I have many things inside code snippet? So maybe I want to use this. I want to run a particular Python file in this folder. So let me see which Python file I can run. So Python digs. Okay, let me see. CD Python dig. So for people that may not know, this is actually CD means change directory. For instance, now you know in GUI, what we do is like if I want to go to directory, for example, I will click here, right? Can you see my screen where I'm going through my folders in computer? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay. You know, in your computer, basically, for you to go to another folder, you just click the graphical, move to this folder, to this folder. But with command line, you can do that thing fast. You can see here, I go through many folders from here. I don't need to move through a lot of folders. So for example, now, if in this Python dict, I have many files in it. LS means list the files in it. So I have a Python file here, intro.py. Now, let me look at what is inside this intro. Cat means print. Print. Can you see? So it means I don't need to open this file in a browser. I can open it here. I can do a lot of things. Cat is something else. Now, how can I run this file? So this is what he's telling you. We can use this and run. So I can say this, run. What is the name of the Python intro? That Python. So what this, who can tell us what this function does? What this file does? It defines a dictionary, name, age, courses, and for key value in student that item, print this. So who can tell us what this does?
So what it does, it prints the key value in the dictionary.
Okay. So now here, when we run this one, can you see? It print name, age, can you see? So run here, what it does, it allows you to run Python file at Ipython. Does that make sense? Do you understand what it does? So here I have a Python file called Introduction to Python, and I want to run it. So when you use this magic command with run, it will run this Python file and tells you the output. Does that make sense? Any question? Any question? So how about in Jupyter? So in Jupyter, you can see here we have Jupyter, right? So in Jupyter, I have a Python file called ipython test.py, and I want to run that file. So for you to run a file, what you can do is to load the content of the file in Jupyter. So with this command, then you say load notebook Ipython, you load the content. So let me open the content of this Ipython so that we can see it. What is the name? Okay, yeah, this is the Python. I think Ipython test. Okay, let me open it here. Okay, I think this, yeah, this is the file. This is the file. This is the file. Can you see it? It is some file that we run. So this is it. Now, when you want to run it inside your Jupyter, first thing you need to load it. What we mean by load is mean to load it is content in Jupyter. So when I run this, it gives me an error. Let's see what is happening. Was not found. Okay, right. Okay, so let's look at it again. What is happening? Okay, so let's look at what is happening. So here, this is the file, Ipython test, right? So let me copy the relative path. It's telling us it didn't see it. I don't know why. So load this Python, this file. I put it here. When I say, okay, load it for me. Okay, so I think let's restart this guy. Let's restart it. I don't know, it's supposed to work. Let's restart the kernel. Right. Okay, so let's look at this guy now. It's giving us something. Name error. Do we have any name error here? What is the error? Notebook Ipython was not found in history as a file. You are not in the username space. So I don't know what is happening now, but maybe my notebook is misbehaving because we can see the other time it doesn't work in another way. But I run it before when I put the code. So what it means here is that when we run this code, the content of the file will be copied here, but it's supposed to work. Okay, let me see whether if I have another file. Index.api. Let me see this one. How path. Okay, let me see this one. Copy the relative path. So let me go back to my code. So we can say load, load this. It's still telling me this. So let's move on. But this is how you can do that. So what this does, load, it will load the content of the file, and you see it here. You just see the content of the file here, and you just need to run the content. It will show. So just try it in your on your own, so that you can even discuss it in our Slack channel if it doesn't work. Just try to see how it is from your own end. Try to run it. Create a file in the same folder and run it and see. It works for me previously. I don't know now why it doesn't work. Right. So we have seen now done the method and everything. Now other Python shortcuts. So standard Python provide one underscore. So for example, now there are many other many other things that we can see that are actually right. So here you can see when I have this print, I have this underscore one. What this will give me the previous command that I got, the previous output. So the previous output is, so when you have this print, you have double underscore, it will give you the previous second output you had. So you can see here, yeah, so let me show you. So here we can see standard Python provide one underscore, Ipython add two underscore and three. So you can have three underscore, one underscore shows you something previous, second underscore shows you the second previous, and the third underscore something in the previous sessions. You can also suppress output by using underscore. So here, if I have 1 + 1, you can see when I do this, it gives me output. But when I say 1 + 1, I put colon here, it will separate so that the output doesn't show. So this is something that is this. And also we have a magic command history. When you have this history, when I have this, I can say here -n. So when I have this history like this, I can have the command, okay, -n, I can say, okay, 1 to 3. So what this is telling me, it will give me the history of the last command I entered. History of the last 3 commands. History minus n 1 to 3. So it will give me the history. When I said history 1 to 4, it will give me the list of 3 commands that I entered previously, 4 lists of 4 commands that I entered previously. So this is actually some of the commands that are available. Any question before we continue? Any question? All right. Okay, so you see, Ipython and shell command. What is the meaning of shell command? So shell commands, we know what is shell. What is shell? Okay, let me work this one. So you can see here I'm inside. So let me. So here you can see I'm inside my shell. This is a shell command. So for example here, as I gave example, you can do a lot of things from shell rather than using graphical interface. You can copy, you can paste, you can delete, you can do everything. So here I'm inside, let me say print working directory. I'm inside directory called Shamsuddin. I can say CD means change directory. I want to say maybe from document, and I want to go to maybe desktop. Can you see? So I can move along my everything. Can you see that? Instead for that is what we call shell here. Now, how can we actually execute this kind of command in our Jupyter or in Ipython? Because shell is different from Ipython. Shell is different from Jupyter. How can we execute this command, print working directly, to work in Jupyter Notebook so that we can access our everything? So that is the essence here. Ipython and shell command. So Ipython allow you to execute shell commands directly from within Ipython terminal. The magic happens when the exclamation, you add exclamation. So here you can see here, when I come here, so when I have this, I say, okay, bring working directory. It will show me the directory I'm now currently working. Can you see I'm in this directory? VS Code, code snippet, this. So because I put this one, but sometimes that is what you can automatically turn what is called auto magic. So in essence, somewhere I've already done it. You don't need to even put this sign. You can just put PWD. Can you see it shows me here code snippet Python disk, because I turn on what is called auto magic. In essence, I don't need to put this sign. So let's look at how we can turn on auto magic. So command that you use in terminal, you can also use them. So the following, the book also does this. The following assume you are on Unix-like system, such as Linux or Mac OS. So because the commands are somehow different from Windows, if you are using Windows, I don't know if, actually what Windows, what are the commands, but they are somehow a little bit different. But if you are using Windows, some command that I may use here may not work. But as I said, we will look at how we can use command using software carpentry document that I already shared with you. We will go through command, how we can work with command. Don't worry about that. We will learn them. But let's look at some simple command. So here the shell is a way to interact textually with your computer. As I've already said, shell is a way for you to interact with your computer textually without using command line. Yes, so without using command line, you can actually interact with your shell so that you don't actually need to go. But in essence, somebody you say, how can I say that? How can I need to open, for example, now here, open into Python? Can you see? Okay, I'm not inside the directory. Let's stop here. I can go to, for example, CD, document. I have another folder. Okay, let me see. I don't have that. Where am I here? Right. So here you can see I'm inside document already, right? I'm inside a document. So here I can CD. I have many folders inside my document. Now, can you see them? These are many folders inside. I have this, for example, VS Code. Can you see it? And inside this, I have a folder called code snippet. Can you see it? Inside code snippet, I have a folder, many folders. Can you see them? I have a folder. For example, if the folder started with Python, I can just type P. It will show me something. Can you see this? Now I move into this folder already. But if you are using computer and you are graphical, you need to go to click, go to my document, go to inside another folder. But that is time consuming. But someone can say, no, I don't need to do that. That is not actually stuff. But when you for beginner, that is actually it's okay. Someone, but as you move together, as you move along using a lot of data science, you can find that this is faster. So you can see here, I can say, okay, this is intro Python. When I open this file, I can say, okay, open this file. So it will open this intro Python with the default application that I want it to open. So here it is opening with PyCharm, which is can you see PyCharm is opening? So it's opening with PyCharm, which Python is previously my default. I can set to open by default by VS Code. So you can do a lot of things. You can say I didn't go to this file and say open with PyCharm. You can do a lot of things. So we will learn how to do that. Yeah. So this is what the book says. Someone unfamiliar with shell might ask, why would you bother with this when you can accomplish many results by simply clicking icon and menu? A shell user might reply with an answer question. Why hunt icons and click menus when you can accomplish this much more easily by typing? While it may sound like a typical tech preference impasse, when beyond basic tasks, it quickly becomes clear that the shell offers much more control of advanced tasks. So admittedly, the learning curve can intimidate the average computer user. So yeah, don't bother. So when you grow using the terminal, it's better. It's faster. There are many things that we have seen. PW is means print voting, LS means current, CD means, MKDR means make directory. So let's look at this one here. So you see, when you want to make directory, I need to go to file in my computer, create like open directory, but here at this, I can say MKDR. It means make direct, create directory. So here I can create directory, here directory, maybe the name of the directory, Kano. Here I just create a directory, file, folder. I create a folder here. Now I can go inside this folder, Kano. Can you see I create a folder, Kano? I can create a file inside this folder called touch. So touch is used to create, I can say touch, Kano, the TSC. Kano TSC. What this one? Okay, let me do this. So it's not accepting touch. So I don't know why it's not accepting touch. So touch is used to create a file, to create a file. So you can see here, we have CD, we create a file, we can make directory called Kano, and so you can see you can move faster here, and that is basically the idea. But we will see how we can do a lot of. Don't bother about this. Now the question here: how can you use this shell command in Jupyter? The way you can use them is just append this. Can you see this? Append this. When you append this, now here it will show you the current file inside this folder. So inside this folder, you can see this folder. This is the files I have. So these are the files I have. Can you see them? All these files inside this folder, this notebook, these are the files. And when I do this, ls means list current directory. I can remove this one here. Can you see it shows me? Because I turn what is called automagic. I will show you how to turn it so that you don't need to type that. Right. So can you see this one, print working directory? It will show me which directory I am inside this folder, notebooks. So you can see everything is inside this folder, Python Data Science Handbook, and inside Python Data Science Handbook, and inside notebook. So these are how you can use this stuff inside stuff. Echo print it. So this is a lot of things that you can do. You can also pass value to that. I think time is moving on. Let me move really quick to many stuff. Yeah, so this is the alright. So this is how to turn on automagic. So when you type this automagic, it means you don't need to use this one. So when you type this command, so let's run this. Can you see automagic is off? Prefix this for line magic. So this means that sometimes even for automagic, you don't need to prefix your stuff with this stuff. So here you can see print working directly. We can just use it. It will print this one. ls, it will just print without showing that. Can you see that? A lot of stuff. And we have some what we call errors and debugging. So this one is something that's presented in the book. So when I run this one, this is so who can tell us what this function does? So this function actually basically returns the a and b by division, because we have a function one here, a and b, it does division, and here we call it given a and b, it returns a and b. So here you have error here. When you have an error, this error is too much for you to see. You may not actually understand it. So there is Ipython comes with some kind of shortcut in which when you call the error, it doesn't give you that kind of large error, many things. It gives you maybe some simple things. So there are many things like X mode, plain. So when you have any error, let's see, it will give you, can you see, it gives a few lines. So it gives you the kind of error is plain, and yeah, so this is something that's different kind of stuff. The last one, we have what is called profiling. So profiling is something that actually allows you, when we write programs, our programs sometimes takes a long of time, but we may sometimes try to find what section of our code takes longer time. So we can time it, find the time it takes. So that is called profiling. It's a method that to detect how long each function or each line of code, how long it takes. So this is essential when you are writing programs. But as a learner, or you shouldn't bother about yourself, find out how long your program takes. As Donald Knuth says, which is if you're computer science, he created analysis of algorithms. He said, we should all forget about small efficiency. You don't need to improve how fast your work was. Say about 97%. Premature optimization is the root of all evil. So sometimes your code is not working, but you are trying to optimize it to make it better. What you need to focus is just make your code work, no matter how it is. If your code is working, then you can go back and try to see you optimize it, make it run faster. So profiling, that is what you mean by profiling. So profiling is basically a way in which trying to find how long sections of your code takes. If you find a section takes a larger chunk of amount of time, then try to optimize that section by removing something or anyway. So that is called profiling. There are many ways to do profiling. Number one, this is what we have seen by using time. The time actually shows you how long some section, time it. So a lot of things you can see what we have done. We have shown this how you can use time it. So time it, if you have a single line, this is a function, and time it, if you want to run many code, you can use time it. Profiling script, full script. So we have what is called pprone, also used for full script. You can read that about that. There are many ways to do profiling, many ways. The last section, matplotlib integration. We all know matplotlib. So this is a package or a library that allow us to do plot figures in Jupyter or Ipython. So this is also another magic command. So we have matplotlib inline. So this command, don't bother about this one, we will come to it later. But what we are interested in is this magic command, matplotlib inline. Who can tell us what this magic command does, matplotlib inline? Who can tell us? Okay, right. So this is magic command, as I told you. Magic commands are commands that Ipython added on top of normal Python. So this Ipython, you can see because it started with this modulo operator. If you want to do matplotlib, you need to import this one in Jupyter. What this does is it allows you to show your plot inline inside Jupyter. It will show you your plot inside Jupyter. So we can see here, we are trying to see, so you can see here, your plot is here. Can you see your plot inside here? So here, matplotlib is a magic command that allows you to do this. But if you are using Ipython only using matplotlib. So if you are using Ipython only, we can only use matplotlib, like this matplotlib, only this one. Because if you look at this one here, I said inline. Here I said inline only, inline, matplotlib inline. If you are using Jupyter, matplotlib inline. But if you are using Ipython only, you can use only. So let's look at the one here. So you can see here, I said matplotlib. So let me use here. For example, import this. Let me put that one. Then let me plot. So can you see here it works in Ipython? Can you see my plot? So the essence of what I'm trying to say, that don't bother if you don't know what this means. We will come to it in the next 2 weeks. This is called matplotlib, how to plot in Python. So just the essence of here is just to tell you that we have something magic command in Ipython that allow us to plot here. So this is I think what I have for today. This is all what I show here is being discussed in the chapter 1 of the book. If you need more information on a lot of the understanding, please read the book. That is it. Any question before we continue? We ended today's session.
Sir, it's not a question actually. Please, sir, can we get the recording of this lecture, because these lectures are becoming gold mine. We need to internalize them.
Yeah. So I think this one is this one recording. Is this one recording?
It's still recording here.
It's recording, right?
Yes, sir, it shows here.
Okay, so I will upload this one. Today I will not forget about this one. I will upload it. I will share in the group so that you can have access. So also I will share the this notebook so that you can play with it. So I will add, because now we just go to the class. You can read the book chapter. Meet someone.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. If I will upload it today. Yeah. So I mean, it has been difficult for me like to do this stuff because like I have some other stuff. So any question? Any question?
So how can we get the notebook file?
Yeah. So I will share the notebook.
Will it be shared? And
yeah. So because I said we'll start working toward we'll do GitHub, so that GitHub allows us to share documents. But for now, do you all know how to use GitHub? Do you all know how to use GitHub?
No, sir.
no, sir. Some of us.
Not really.
Some.
Okay. So as I said, we will do a separate session on how to use GitHub, but the session we will do it. Okay. I think maybe I need to show you the carpentry, software carpentry. I shared this one, I think, last week. So even the author of the book, of this book, recommend this material. Software carpentry. Oh, why is it taking so much? Software carpentry. Software carpentry. All right. So let me show you the lesson the author recommends. This lesson, our lesson. This is the lesson. Okay. So these are the lessons for software carpentry. The Unix shell. So we also use how to use version control, but the Unix shell. This is how. So this is initial. So in this initial, for example, you will learn how to move. So let me share this one in the chat. I share the link. I think I already shared the link. So someone, you can start going through it yourself and learn. So for example, let me show you navigating files and directories lessons. You can see it explains how you can see ls. It explains what the ls means, lsf, what it means, lsf, man, what is the meaning of man. Can you see that? A lot of commands here. Can you see them? So this is based. Can you see pwd? Pwd. Can you see cd? What's this? So this is a lesson that the author of the book recommended for anyone to do. Like if you want to learn, you see we have many sessions in the Unix command introducing the shell. So background, a lot of they will give you English why we need the shell. This is a good way to learn stuff like that. So yeah, we'll come to that. I will go with this. Also, we use the GitHub. We will have a one session on how to use GitHub, how to create account, how to upload document, how to share document, how to share files, how to do many things. But for this one, I think I will share this notebook in the Slack channel so that you will have access to it. Any question again? Any question? So if there's no question, what we will do tomorrow, you see the book, this is the book, this is the book, this is what we discussed today, iPad, iPython. Have understanding board, iPython magic, iPython history, iPython shell command. Can you see? There is the bagging profiling for iPython. So this is what we discussed today. And what we will start doing tomorrow is NumPy, introduction to NumPy. So we'll start doing introduction to NumPy. So we'll understand a lot of what NumPy is. And I think we will not be able to finish NumPy because NumPy is one of the most important stuff in data science machine learning. So you can see we have many section 1, 2, 3. So we'll do what we can do. After that, then we can do pandas. From pandas, we can do matplotlib. Then we are good to go to start doing machine learning. Any question before that again? Any question? So as I said, since we already finished our first Python basics, tomorrow I will start putting daily Python practice just to build the memory muscle of how to do programming. So every day I will post some questions to practice. So we'll practice every day. And if you cannot solve the answer, you can ask maybe after the end of the day, you can ask the next day, you can say, how do I do, or even the particular day. So we don't want to put the questions and people start discussing. So we want to, like, if we put today, everyone try it. If tomorrow, then we share our solutions. We can share our solutions so other people can learn. I will also share my solution for the questions with us, but the main essence is just that. And I already said last week, we'll have a kind of money that we'll give to anyone that participates. For the whole, we will have 100 days of Python coding, and this 100 days will keep track of who is participating, who is always getting a good result when he is consistent. And as I already mentioned, we'll have a separate packet to be paid to first, second, and third person. The first person, as I said previously, will pay the first person 50,000, the second person 30,000, and the third person will give 20,000. So we'll have 100,000 for 3 people that actually participate in the 100 days of Python coding in Suriata. So any question? All right, no question. So without much further ado, if there's no question, we can call it today. You can try to go through the chapter 2, NumPy, and try to see what you can do. Learn it yourself and come with your question tomorrow. Right, okay. See you tomorrow all. I will upload the video for the session, and also I will share the notebook. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Ciao, ciao.